Good morning everyone. So today our topic is root system and its modification from +1. First of all, in this chapter, we will study what root is, what are its modifications, what are its properties and how many types of root systems are there. Now, first tell me which part of plant supports it when it is underground. Yes, the part that supports the plant is root. Now today we will talk about root. Now root is the underground acrophilous. Acrophilous means which lacks chlorophyll and absorption of minerals. It doesn't consist of chlorophyll, that's why the roots are non-green in color. Now next comes the characteristics of roots. The very important question from NEET point of view is that root is formed from which part of the embryo? It is formed from the radical part of the embryo. There are two parts of embryo. One is radical and the other is plumule. From the radical part, root is formed and from the plumule part, stem is formed. Second, as it doesn't contain chlorophyll and it is non-green in color, so they are achlorophyllous. Nodes and internodes are absent. Nodes are the points where leaves are grown and the distance between the two nodes is known as internodes. Now next question is very important from NEET point of view. Root branches are endogenous. Endogenous means it grows downwards. Like this is the root, it grows endogenous, downwards. And the next is, this is very confusing, very important, that they are negatively phototropic, positively geotropic and positively hydrotropic. Positively why? Because the soil absorbs water from downwards. Roots are under the ground and water they absorb from here. So they are positively hydrotropic, positively geotropic because downwards the gravity is positive and upwards the gravity is negative. But negatively phototropic because upwards the phototropic is positive and downwards it is negative. And one of the most important question is that root hairs are not multicellular. They are unicellular, made up of single cell. Now next, the most important topic is regions of the root. In this, we will study about two main things. First is the structure, how the structure of root is, in how many parts or regions it has been divided. Second, what is the function of each region the root is divided into. So there are main 5 regions of a root. The first is root cap. Second is meristematic zone, which is also known as the growing point. Third is the zone of elongation. Fourth is the root hair zone, which is also known as pelliferous region. Fifth one is the zone of mature cells. Now we will study about all these 5 parts in a very detailed structure and function through a diagram, because diagram is very something through which we can learn the things easily without cramming it. Yeah. So first of all, this is the diagram of a root hair, which is root, which is being divided into the 5 zones. Starting from the first part, this is the root cap. Second is the meristematic zone or the growing zone. Third, this one is the zone of elongation. Here, this hair type part, this is the root zone here. The above part, above the root hair. This is known as the region of mature cells. Now we will study these parts one by one. First comes the root cap. Like you can see from the diagram that this region is cap-like. And it prevents the growing part. Cap-like present at the tip of the root. This is the tip of the root and is cap-like structure which is present at the tip of the root. And what is the function? It protects the growing part from injury or damage so that the roots can grow deeper and more deeper into the soil. Now next is the meristematic zone. This part is known as the meristematic zone. Here the new cells are produced so that it can help in the growth of the root. So its main function is that it helps in the growth of the roots. That is, it is very important for the root to be present so that it can grow more and more deeper into the soil. And this is the growing part. So that's why the meristematic zone is also known as the growing part or the growing region due to this growing point, because it helps in the production of the new cells. Now next is the zone of elongation. Here the cells only divide. They do not divide, they just elongate. Means cells divide in these 2 meristematic zones, but in this zone they just only elongate so that they can help in the linear growth. Linear growth means in the upward growth of the root. So in this, cells do not divide, only elongate. Main function is that it helps in the linear growth. Now next, the most important zone is the root hair zone. Root hair zone is also known as pelliferous zone. Now why this zone is called as pelliferous zone? Pelliferous means because it consists of a large number of root hairs. They are in the form of like this, pelliferous. Root hairs, pelliferous, and root hairs. It consists of large number of root hairs and small holes are present in between it. That is why it is known as pelliferous zone. And the root hairs which are present are unicellular in nature. Always remember that root hairs are unicellular. They are formed from single cell. It is very important question and one of the most confusing question in NEET, that they are unicellular. Most of the students think that they are multicellular, but no, root hairs are unicellular in nature. Now this is one of the most important things, that the older roots are non-functional. As the tree grows, the roots become older and they are non-functional and are replaced by the new ones. Okay, so now its function is that maximum water which is absorbed by the plants is through this region. Most water is absorbed by this because root hairs are present, which helps in the absorption of water. So maximum of water which is absorbed by the soil is through this root hair zone. Now last region is region of mature cells. Above the region of hair zone, there are region of mature cells. And what is its function? All the mature cells are present into these zones. And what is the function? It provides support, anchorage, protection to the plant. Provides support, anchorage, that is protection to the plant root. So now just giving a recall. First part is the root cap. It's cap-like structure present at the tip of the root. What is the function? It protects the growing part from any injury or damage. Next is the meristematic zone. It is the growing point, region where growing point is situated, and it results or helps in the production of new cells, which is essential for the growth of the plant. Above that zone is zone of elongation, which is in which the cells do not divide, just elongate. So its function is that they help in the linear growth. Our fourth and one of the important region is root hair zone, known as the pelliferous zone. Unicellular root hairs are present, and most of the water, maximum amount of water which is absorbed by the plant is through this region of root. Above that region is the fifth region, that is region of mature cells. Into this region, mature cells are present, and these function as to provide protection and support to the plant. And yeah, one of the very important questions from NEET point of view is that in our ground plants, like on the ground which is not under the water, root caps are present. But when the plants are growing under the water, then their root cap doesn't exist. Because root cap is present when the plant is under the soil, but root caps are not present in aquatic plants. Then what type of structure they are having to protect the growing point? They are having root pockets. Root pockets are there instead of root caps. Example, Pistia, Acornia, and many aquatic fruiting plants. They do not consist of root caps, they are having root pockets. So this is a very important question from NEET point of view. Now our next topic is root systems. Root systems. Now there are two types of root system. A root consists of two types of main system. First one is taproot system, and the second one is adventitious root system. Now first of all, we will discuss about the taproot system through the diagram. In this, taproot system consists of one main root. It consists of one main root which is known as the primary root. Okay, primary root. So yeah, first of all, that from which part the taproot is formed? It is formed from the radical part of the embryo. Very important question. From which part the taproot is formed? It is formed from the radical part of the embryo, and it consists of one main branch which is known as the primary root. The primary root further give rise to the secondary root, and the secondary root further give rise to the tertiary roots, and the tertiary root further give rise to the rootlets. This is the structure of the basic taproot. Now coming to the theory part, as I told you, that it is formed from the radical of the embryo. One main root is there, primary root, which give rise to secondary roots give rise to tertiary roots, and the tertiary root give rise to the rootlets. And the second important question in this topic is that the roots are grown in acropetal manner. Now what do you mean by acropetal manner? Acropetal manner means the younger roots which are formed, they are present at this growing point. Here is the growing point related, and the younger roots are present near the growing point. Whereas the older are present at the base. This is the base, and older roots are present here. Means younger at the growing point and older near the base. This is known as acropetal manner. This is very important question. Now next is the adventitious root system. Coming to the diagram. Now first question is from where it is formed. It can be formed from any part other than radical. It can be formed from any other part but not the radical. From radical, which system is formed? That is taproot system. Any other part other than radical. And here there is no main branches. The main branch is present, but it is only short-lived and it is replaced by a number of branches. Now coming to the theory part like this. Primary root is short-lived, replaced by a number of roots, because a number of roots are present. Like this looks like a fibrous system. Here also large number of roots are present. It looks like a complicated fibrous system, and lots of roots are there. There is no single main branch. As in the taproot system, there is one single main branch, but here there is no single main branch. A large number of branches are present. So that's why the system is also known as fibrous root system. Important to note. Okay. So this was the two systems. Now we will discuss about its difference. What is the difference? Which is very important. As I have told you earlier, like taproot is formed from the radical part, but adventitious can be formed from any other part other than radical. Here the primary root is the main root from which give rise to secondary, tertiary, and rootlets. But here the primary root is short-lived and it is replaced by a large number of roots. That's why this system is also known as the fibrous system. They are deep feeders. Yeah, they grow under the soil very deep, and they are only present under the soil. But this root system are surface. They can be above the surface, below the surface, and they are not deep feeders. They are on the surface. They are present only the surface. They are always inside the soil. That I told you. They can be underground or aerial. Aerial means above the ground. Above. Yeah, they are found in dicot plants, but they are found in monocots. Dicot means 2 cotyledon embryo, monocot means 1 cotyledon embryo. So this was the overall difference of the taproot and the adventitious root system. Yeah, the next topic is modifications. Yeah. So today, both taproot system and adventitious root systems have modifications. But today we will only discuss about the modifications of taproot. Now there is a question like plants. Roots are also part of the plants. Then how do they respire? How they do undergo respiration? How they need the foods for the growth? Of course, they need something so that they can grow, respire, nitrogen fixation they can undergo. So to perform all these functions, the roots undergo special modifications so that they can grow. They can also perform all these functions. That's why to ensure these things, they undergo modifications so that they can store food, respire, nitrogen fixation, which is necessary for the growth of the root. That's why they undergo these modifications, which we are going to read or study right now. 2 important things we have to keep in mind in this topic is that questions are from the examples and the modifications, like what type of modification it is, what is the shape of the modification, and their examples. Okay? There are 3 main types of modifications under taproot. One is fleshy taproots, nodulated taproots, and pneumatophores. Yeah, we can say respiratory roots. Why we call it, we will study later on. Now fleshy taproots. It is further divided into 4 parts: conical, fusiform, napiform, and tuberous. Yeah, one thing keep in mind, while you are studying this topic, not study its theory part. Just study it from the diagrams, because diagrams make it more clearer, and you just not need to cram it, because diagrams are from our real lives. Examples of real lives can explain this topic very well, and you no need to cram it, and you can easily remember the examples and their modifications and their structure from the real life only. Like how, I will tell you about it. First is fleshy taproots, like conical. You guys have seen carrot in your houses, right? Carrot. Yeah, just imagine carrot in your mind. Red in color, and we can see that from the base. The part is very swollen. And when it comes to down, it becomes thinner, narrower. Remembering like that, you can imagine in your mind the image of the carrot, and then you can easily answer all the questions related to this. Broader at the base, pointed or the narrower at the apex. So you can see that its shape is like the cone. You have seen the cone? Like cone is like this way. Similarly, the carrot is also like this way. Broader at the base, pointed or narrower at the apex. Example is carrot. It is conical form. Next come our fusiform. Now fusiform, example of fusiform is radish. You have seen radish? It is narrower at the base and at the apex, but swollen in the middle. Like this way. Narrower, then it becomes swollen, and it again becomes the narrower. Narrow, swollen. So its shape is like, you have seen spindle is like this way. Narrower, swollen, spindle shaped. Example is radish. Now next comes our napiform. You all guys are aware of the turnip. Turnip we have seen swollen, very much swollen at the base, and apex is narrower, like this. Swollen at the base, apex narrow. So this is like top shaped. You can say this one. When we were small, when we studied, we play lattu, which rotates like it is like this way, na lattu. When we rotate it, it runs on the floor. The same shape is like, it is like, turnip has also the same shape. That is why we call it top shaped. And it comes under the category of napiform. Next is tuberous roots. They doesn't have any definite shape, size, nothing. Like this way. Unregular shape, no exact shape. You can draw any shape, anything. Example is Mirabilis jalapa, 4 o'clock plant, we known as. So like this, you can see that from the examples, we can easily remember the shape and the name instead of cramming it. Like once again, you can recall it. Like whenever you see the carrot, you can say, it is conical in shape. Swollen at the base, narrower at the apex. And it is cone-like. The next comes the fusiform. Spindle shaped. Narrower at the base and the apex, swollen in the middle. Next one is turnip, top shape, lattu. You can remember it by the lattu. Swollen at the base, narrower at the apex, top shape. Tuberous doesn't have any definite shape. 4 o'clock plant, Mirabilis jalapa. Now next is the nodulated roots. This is also very interesting. Now first we will understand it from the diagram. Nodulated roots, from the name it is clear, nodulated. Nodulated means it consists of nodules. The tap root, the primary root consists of families, candy-tertiary roots consist of nodules on it. These nodules are this way, like a bead-like appearance. They are present all over the root system. Due to the presence of these nodules, they are named as nodulated roots. Now, what is the function of these nodules? Bacteria, which help in the nitrogen fixation. Blue-green bacteria is present in these nodules, which help in nitrogen fixation of the plant. Like this. Nodulated means nodules are present. Primary branch, skinny branch bears bead-like structure. As I told you, like this bead-like structures called as nodules. What does nodules contain? Nitrogen fixation bacteria converts free nitrogen into nitrates having symbiotic relationship. Now, what do you mean by symbiotic relationship? Symbiotic relationship is that relationship in which both the plant and the bacteria are benefited. They help in nitrogen fixation of the plant. In turn, the plant provides shelter to these bacteria on their roots. One of the best example of this is leguminous plant. Whenever there comes pea, gram, bean, you just think about, yeah, these are leguminous plants. Then this is the example of non-related roots. Now third modification and the last modification is the pneumatophores, respiratory roots. Now first of all, we will come to the diagram. First, these roots are not found in the normally ordinary conditions like we see that in our homes, on our grounds. No, these roots are not found there. These roots are found in those areas which have waterlogged conditions or salty conditions. Waterlogged means overflow of water is there, where the plants can't breathe, can't respirate. And where salt conditions means there is lack of water, salty areas are there. In that conditions, these roots grow. What happens? The taproot comes above the ground. Taproot comes above the ground surface, which consists of small pores which is known as lenticels. And these lenticels help in the gaseous exchange. That's why these roots are known as respiratory roots, breathing roots, or the pneumatophores. Like this, respiratory roots, breathing roots, found in waterlogged saline areas. Taproot comes above the soil, which consists of pores, which are known as lenticels, help in the gaseous exchange. And one of the best example of this is mangrove trees. We can see that mangrove trees are grown in those areas which are waterlogged and have high water scarcity, and the soil is really salty in nature. So this was all about the topic we studied today. Just giving a recollection of all the things which we studied today in a very brief 1 to 2 minutes. Today's topic was root system and its modification. First, we studied that what are roots, what are the important characteristics of roots. Then it was regions of the roots. 5 main regions are there: root cap region, meristematic zone, zone of elongation, root hair zone, zone of mature cells. Through this diagram, we all studied about each part briefly and in detail, and the important points that should be noted into these topic. Then next was our topic, what root system. 2 types of root system are there: taproot system, adventitious root system, and what was the difference between taproot and the adventitious root system. Then we today discuss about the modifications of the taproot. What are the modification of taproots? They are divided into 3 main types: fleshy taproots, non-related taproots, pneumatophores. And then we discuss each of them with the help of very good diagrams and important points, and from the NEET point of questions which are important. Okay, so now giving a recapitulation to all these things. Now we will discuss about the very important questions which comes in the NEET, either in the form of MCQs, either in the form of true, false, everything. But MCQs are mostly there in the NEET part. So yeah, first comes from where roots are formed. Very important. I have told you that 2 parts of plants are there: radical and the primule, and roots are formed from the radical part. Okay. Next, our root hairs are unicellular or multicellular. Root hairs are always unicellular because they are formed from the single cell. So this is the correct answer. Roots are positively phototropic. No, I told you guys that roots are positively geotropic, hydrotropic, but negatively phototropic. So this is false. Next is, in which zone growing point is present? Growing point is present in meristematic zone. Growing point is present in meristematic zone. Meristematic zone. Or the question is also can come like this way: what is the other name of the meristematic zone? Growing point. Like this way. It can come in both the way. Like this question next is, which zone is periferous zone? Periferous means pores are present. Pores are present in those areas where the root hairs are present. So root hair zone is also known as periferous zone. Yeah, next very important question. Maximum water absorption occurs in which zone? Maximum water absorption will take place only in that area where the large number of root hairs are present, and root hairs are present in root hair zone. Now next question is, linear growth occurs in. Linear growth occurs in that part where the cells don't divide, they just elongate. And we know that the cells elongate in which zone? Zone of elongation. Zone of elongation. Yeah, very important question. In aquatic plants, root caps are replaced by root pockets because root caps are not present in that plants. Because in floating plants, in the plants which are underground, root pockets are present which protect the growing point. Which system is formed from radical part of the embryo? Now they are talking about the system. And system, taproot. Taproot is formed from the radical part. Similarly, the question can come from, name the part which is not formed from radical of embryo when there is not. Be careful in that questions where there is not in statement. Then that answer will be adventitious roots. Okay. Roots in taproot system are grown in which manner? Yeah, very important manner. In which manner? The older roots are near the base and the younger ones are toward the apex. They grow in acropetal manner. Acropetal manner.